Hi guys, it's Ksenia. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm not going to be showing you any perfumes in this video, but I am going to talk about a topic in the fragrance world that gets people talking and that there's a lot of mixed opinions on. And that is the topic of compliments. I'm sure you've opened either a TikTok video or a YouTube video, even one of my videos, where someone has said, oh, I wore this perfume and I got so many compliments. I wore this perfume and I got chased down the street and asked what I was wearing. But then you look at yourself and you're like, I've never gotten a compliment on how I smell. Is there something wrong with the way I'm wearing my perfume? Are these people lying? What's the deal here? In this video, I'm gonna be giving you guys a bunch of different reasons for why you may not be getting compliments on how you smell. I do also want to mention, you do not need a compliment from literally anyone telling you that you smell good, as long as you yourself like the way that you smell. You can smell good and feel amazing without the validation of anyone. That's not what this video is about, okay? Obviously, we're going to be talking about compliments, but don't take this video so literally to where I'm telling you you're doing something wrong if you don't get a compliment, as if that's like the only reason people wear perfumes. Like, no, obviously it's not that deep, but I feel like for most people, getting told that you smell good is a really amazing compliment. It's a really intimate compliment, and I'm gonna get into that also in this video. So with that said, let's get straight into it. Please make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and turn your post notifications on, and let's get started. First, this is very duh and very obvious, but I feel like it kind of has to be mentioned because when you see somebody on TikTok or on YouTube, you don't know what their life is like. You don't know what they do. You don't know where they go. You don't know how much of an extrovert and how many parties or outings that they go to, and that may be completely different to your life, which is nothing wrong with that. My point is, people have different lifestyles, so that person gets a ton of compliments because they're actually out in order to be able to receive any compliments. If you're an introvert and all you do is stay home, or you work from home and you go out like once a week just to go to the grocery store, your chances of getting a compliment are very low. Like, people have to actually smell you to compliment you. Obvious, but I feel like this simple fact can be kind of overlooked sometimes. If you don't have an outgoing lifestyle, don't expect to get a compliment on those very rare occasions that you do go out, because the chances of you getting a compliment in comparison to the chances of somebody that goes out every other day, every weekend, that person has a lot higher of chances of getting compliments than you do. Again, no shame or judgment to your lifestyle. Obviously, that's not what this is about. I'm an introvert. I hate going out, but it's just simple facts. Let's move on to reason number 2 why you may not be getting a compliment. And that just simply boils down to fragrance is subjective. Not everyone will like how you smell. So just because you go out and you love the way you smell and you think, oh, I smell so good, I'm for sure gonna get a compliment when I go out, and then you go out and you don't get any compliments, it's point blank period. It's as simple as that. Not everyone will love how you smell. Reason number 3. Complimenting somebody on how they smell can be kind of an intimidating compliment. And not only that, but it's definitely more of an intimate compliment. It's definitely different than somebody saying, oh, I like the shoes that you're wearing, because it's just like, oh, okay, you can see that. Whereas telling somebody, I like how you smell, you know, that's a compliment that holds a little bit more weight, if that makes any sense. And so people may not always feel comfortable to actually come up and say anything to you. And most times people don't. I've done it as well. I don't like going up to people. So even though somebody can walk by me and I'll love the way that they smell and I'll be tempted to say something, I won't, just because I'm like, oh, if I say something, that person will think I'm weird. You hear all the time on social media, people are like, oh, I wore this perfume and I got chased down. So then you go and buy that perfume thinking you're gonna get the same attention, and it's crickets. Sometimes strangers are just too intimidated to go up and tell somebody that they smell good, even if they do indeed smell good. Even though I know that somebody telling me I smell good is like my favorite compliment ever, and probably if I did that to somebody, they would really appreciate it, I always have this self-awareness uncomfortability that if I'll say that to somebody, they'll automatically think I'm weird, which is weird because I've never thought that about anybody that has said that to me. On the contrary, those are the compliments that have stuck in my mind and have taken a special place in here that I always tell you guys about when it comes to me telling you perfumes that give me compliments. Like, I love those compliments. That's something that I need to get over, and if that's something that you have also, we need to try to work on that, because even if you do tell somebody that and for whatever reason they think it's weird, which I highly doubt would happen, but even if, at the end of the day, we're literally on a floating rock. It really doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck if anybody thinks that you're weird, especially if you're literally just being kind and giving them a compliment, you know? Next, how much or how little you apply also has a lot to do with if people are gonna be complimenting you or not. If you're going out and you put on like 2 sprays, or you put it on your wrist and you rub like this, or you're one of those people that sprays in the air and walks through it, and you go out and you're like, oh, I smell so good right now, people are definitely gonna be complimenting me. By the time you go out, you're probably gonna smell like nothing. That's not a good amount of fragrance to make anybody that's not standing literally right here be able to smell you. You definitely need to put on an adequate amount of fragrance for anybody to at least smell you a little bit. But then you have the total opposite of that, which is wearing too much fragrance. There's definitely a fine balance of spraying just enough fragrance where it's not gonna nauseate people, but also where people are not even gonna be able to smell you at all. I have a video on this topic and how to spray your perfume to get the most out of it, to make it last, and for people to actually be able to smell it. So check that video out. I'll link it up here. And also, it's not always just, oh, you spray too much because you want the attention. Sometimes you can actually accidentally spray too much fragrance, because you'll go to put on your perfume, you put a good amount of it, and you're like, okay, this is fine. Then you're going out, you're in your car, and you kind of notice, I'm not really smelling my perfume anymore. So then you go and top it off with even more fragrance before you go and spray that second round of fragrance, because you thought the fragrance disappeared. It may just be that you went nose blind to that fragrance, and then when you go and top it off even more before you go out, it gets to like a nauseating level. So if you just kind of know how to put a good amount to start off with, then you don't need to reapply your fragrance, especially if you know that you put a good amount in the first place. Reason number 4, wear your fragrance depending on the occasion and the location. You always have to be self-aware when it comes to putting on your fragrance according to where you're going. If I'm going somewhere serious like a job interview or school or any type of office setting, I'm not gonna blast my fragrance and drown myself, because that may just come off as, well, number 1, just plain old nauseating, but also desperate, seeking attention, just way too loud for no reason. But then on the opposite hand, if I'm going to a club and I put on just 2 sprays thinking I smell so good and I'm gonna get compliments, that's not gonna happen, because in a club setting there's people all around you and everybody's wearing fragrances and everyone's dolled up. So in that setting you can get away with wearing a little bit more. A lot of the times your fragrance introduces you before you even introduce yourself, so make sure that you make that a good impression, because that could either be like, okay, that person I want to stay away from because they just reek, or they could be like, wow, that person smells amazing. If you're in a closed environment, for example, where you're in really close proximity of people and it's more of a serious environment, then maybe opt for something lighter, softer. Whereas if you're at a park and it's out in the open, or a club setting where people are just letting loose, they're not as serious and uptight and just more laid back and casual, in that setting they may just feel more comfortable to come up and give you a compliment because they're casual, they're having a good time, they're not in an office stressed or at school stressed, and they don't care about how you smell. Just because you see one of my videos where I say, oh, Mugler Alien is one of the sexiest perfumes ever, and you go and wear that perfume to school where you're sitting right next to someone thinking you're gonna get that same attention, that they're gonna think you smell really sexy, that may not happen, because that person may be just super put off by your smell. Like, why are you smelling this strong sitting literally right next to me? It can just be off-putting and distracting. Bottom line, be self-aware with where you're wearing your perfume and what kind of perfume you're wearing. Okay, so I feel like I'm looking like a hot mess right now. I actually just came from a workout class, so sorry for the outfit change. I try to get myself together. But anyways, let's get right back into it. My next reason for why you don't get compliments is Sometimes it's just a matter of right place, right person, meaning if that person got a compliment, they probably just so happen to come across that one person that is comfortable enough to give that compliment, whereas you may walk past somebody that may have the same reaction as that person that was vocal about it, but they're too uncomfortable to actually say anything to you. So just because that person got a compliment because they happen to be around the right person, you may be around somebody that's introverted or that is just too uncomfortable to actually say it to you. That's an obvious one, but sometimes it's really just as simple as that. Number 6, wear fragrance based on the vibe that you're trying to give off. In other words, match your fragrance to the type of vibe or outfit that you are trying to give off that day. If I'm going to a business setting and I'm wearing more formal clothes, I'm gonna match my fragrance to such. I'm not gonna wear a clubbing, sexy perfume in an office setting because that can just kind of give off the wrong impression, and vice versa. If I'm going to a club or more of a laid-back, chill environment, I'm not gonna wear my most serious, formal fragrance. Now, take all of this with a grain of salt. You don't have to conform to these rules. There are no rules in fragrance, but I'm just giving you some reasons as to why you may not be getting compliments. Okay, next up, this is for all the niche lovers and for all the people that have this I want to smell unique complex, which don't get me wrong, I have that too. Sometimes we're so used to smelling all the same fragrances, and even on social media, everybody's just wearing the same perfume. And trust me, I get it. It's boring and you want to just look for the most unique, most niche, specific scent ever. But the thing with that is, if you are wanting to get compliments, that's something you're honestly more than likely not gonna get from niche perfumes. Basic is likable, whereas unique is polarizing. And that's also not a reason to not wear your unique perfume that you love just because you won't receive compliments. And that literally goes for everything. The outfits you wear, your hair choices, like whatever, however you choose to express yourself, be as unique as you want, and it doesn't matter how people perceive that, because again, going back to, we're literally on a floating rock. Who cares? All right, next reason, you're layering the wrong fragrances. Layering is an art, okay? You cannot just layer any and every fragrance together. You gotta make sure that they, to some degree, match. I have an entire video on how to layer because this is a whole topic in itself. This could be easily like an hour-long video, but I kind of condensed it in the most simplest way in this video right here, so I will link that right here. It's kind of a guide 101 on layering if you're new to it, or if you're struggling to layer your scents and what goes with what, definitely check that video out. It has a lot of useful information. All right, and that concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a little bit of a different one, but every time I say this phrase, oh, I got a compliment on this perfume, every single time I say that, there'll be at least one person commenting, how is it that you get so many compliments? I've not once gotten a compliment on my perfume. All I have to say to that is it probably just comes down to any one of these reasons that I just mentioned. Sometimes it's a lot simpler, sometimes it's a lot more complex. I do also want to say though that sometimes people on social media do exaggerate that because they know that most complimented fragrance type videos do really well. So they'll just kind of over exaggerate, like, oh, I got chased by a bear when I wore this perfume, that's how good it is. And then you're like, oh my god, I have to get this perfume because it's that good. I feel like that was a really bad explanation because I don't think anybody wants to be chased by a bear, but I feel like you know what I'm saying. Like sometimes people go overboard and it's like there's no way you got chased by a swarm of people asking you what you were wearing. I mean, maybe sometimes you can kind of tell when people are just overdoing it just for the views. At the end of the day, wear whatever perfume you like. You don't need to get compliments on your fragrance to wear it. Even if you know that most people won't like your perfume, you can still wear that perfume. Although it's amazing to get compliments on your fragrance, we don't wear perfumes to appeal to others. We wear perfumes to appeal to ourselves. So even though I said all of this, take it with a grain of salt. It's not that serious. At the end of the day, we're literally talking about perfume, okay? Sometimes people take things way too seriously on the internet. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and if you relate to any of these reasons, I'd love to hear your thoughts because I feel like it's a bit of a polarizing topic. That is it for me today. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and turn your post notifications on, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!